Good morning, dear friends. Welcome to the Spirit Society of Virginia. We're going to start by reading a message from the book Our Daily Bread, psychographed by Chico, by the Spirit Emmanuel, chapter 29, The Vineyard. And he said to them, "You two go to the vineyard, and I will give you whatever it is right." So they went. Matthew 24. No one can imagine an earth filled with beauty and potential, but drifting aimlessly in the immensity of the universe. The planet is not a ship adrift. Human collectivities customarily fall into disarray, but the laws that preside over the destiny of our earthly home are expressed in complete harmony. This verification helps us understand that the earth is Jesus' vineyard. Here, we can see him working since the dawn of time, and here we can witness the transformation of individuals who, from one experience to the next, integrate themselves into his divine love. The lovely parable of the workers has a profound meaning. In essence, it designates the place of human work and refers to the many obligations that disciples have received from the Divine Master. For the time being, humans hold on to the illusion that the globe can be a stage for racial or political hegemonies. However, over time, they will perceive this clamorous error because all the children of reason who incarnate on the earth bring with them the task of contributing to the achievement of a higher standard of life in the corner in which they are temporarily acting. Wherever you may be, remember that you are in the vineyard of Christ. Are you besieged by difficulty and misfortune? Even so, work for the common good, because the Lord has granted just and suitable material to each and every worker. Friends, Emmanuel reminds us that our planet is under Jesus Christ's command. Everything is in order, and we are here for a purpose. Each one of us were granted the necessary tools to be part of the works of Christ in this planet. All right, friends. Let us now prepare ourselves for this moment of togetherness with God. Dear God, we feel your presence in every breath that we take. Breathing in and out and feeling your gift of life. May we multiply the possibilities of love, co-creating it with you. We visualize our homes and our schools, our workplaces, being illuminated by your messengers, helping friends, neighbors, colleagues, teachers, educators. So everyone can be assured of your presence and your leadership in the universe. All of us, with no exception, we are your children. Feeling this call to a new alignment, we pray that everyone who has their names in the book of prayer receive the healing that they need, the remedies, the therapy, new hope, trusting your providence, infinite and abundant. We express deepest gratitude for the opportunity of being here together, united with the goal of being conscientious children of yours. And so be it. Who is ready for a new lesson inside? Raise your hand. No, but I'm going to be here. So I'm ready here. You guys are ready there? Yeah? Everyone can follow Miss Daisy, Miss Luciana. It's a beautiful lesson on the moral laws by Luis Rivas. For those who are watching online, it's a great opportunity to buy the books.
Not right now.
We'll keep it here. Ready, warm up. Let's warm up. Every time we open action and reaction, it's a sweat, right? Ooh, who is ready for the case of the day? Right? It is a case, and it's important for all of us to see ourselves in the case, to see ourselves in these cases that seem to be about today's Leo. Could be us, right? Could be names just like ours. And it can be us. Since the beginning of the book, we have been studying what we call ourselves the central theme, the basic theme, the central desire in our lives. We reincarnate to regenerate ourselves. Why? Because as a scholar named Sally Regina George in Brazil says, she says, we need to regenerate because we are degenerated. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We have a past that is beautiful in some nuances, but in some others, it's like, thank God we forgot. We don't want to remember. Because there are decisions in the past, remote and more recent. It will be so hard for us to forgive ourselves and others. We have feelings, but thank God we don't know everything, the whole 9 yards. Chico Xavier, when he was incarnated, he had several ailments, illnesses, and often he understood it was part of his past, and he surrendered. He didn't complain. So today, we're going to see how beautiful it is. Again, the good messengers who are always helping, like this morning when we were praying at Cardiac Radio. The good spirits allowed us to see the center. And though we were not here yet, they were showing the nurses of the spiritual realm, the doctors, the therapists, welcoming the spirits that are to be rescued. Yes, they are working whether we are here or not, thank God. And they were preparing the environment for us, for our families, for our loved ones, who may not even be here, for those who are connected to us through the internet as well. They know what we don't know. And yet, they love us, they don't judge us, they help us. Time and again, we'll see cases of crimes and criminals, and the good spirits helping without judgment. It's unbelievable. And this happens not only for those who committed crimes in previous lives. We include
those who committed crimes in this life as well. There's no difference between them and us. No difference. Today it's about a pathway of regeneration that we walk and we can pay off our debts. Oh my, Vanessa, don't say that word. Especially before Thanksgiving and Christmas, because we need to buy more, right? We need to buy more and debt. Who doesn't have any debt? Hard to find someone. And the wealthiest are the ones who owe the most, right? So, but spiritually, we all do. And that's part of our spiritual intelligence. It's important that we know that above our intellect, above our emotional intelligence, there is spiritual intelligence. A neuroscientist who created the term in the past, spiritual intelligence, in her own, let's say, wonderings about the mind, she was so right. Because knowing that we are here to progress and to pay off things we left undone will expedite the achievements of this life. It's about milestones of the soul. Think of babies. When they are born, children are growing, we're looking for the milestones to be achieved. What about spiritually? We look at ourselves in the mirror, and it's important that we ask ourselves daily, what is the next milestone for me to achieve? Because now I know that I progress and there is no way out. On Friday, Carol and Paloma were able to do a beautiful study summarizing the divine laws. It's almost like a miracle, like to bring so much in such a little time. Today our children will be studying Luis Riva's book on the moral laws and what happens to us when we achieve it. The milestones of the soul. Today, studying Leo's case, we're going to revisit our case. Because probably if we focus in certain conditions that we'll learn today, we'll verify if we are close to that or very far. So this is the scenario. Think of a spiritual hospital, as we said, connected to the center, connected to the institute, and then Mentor Druzo, Instructor Silas, Andre Luiz, his friend Hilario, who asks all the hilarious questions, right? No wonder he's Hilario, because he's hilarious. But he asks the question that we have. Then an assistant came named Lago, and he comes and says, Silas, Assistant Silas, Leo seems to be spending the last days of his incarnation. Imagine Leo. Who is Leo? He's not Prince Leo, King Leo. He is Leo, meaning any Leo, any of us. We're discarnating here, and somewhere people know they have like the babysitter camera, right? The baby camera. They know, like this camera, they know. And they come with a group. They come not only to check on us, to help us. So they come to this it's a very poor hospital, like few beds, and there's Leo. And Leo is in a poor state. He has tuberculosis. Blood is already coming out of his system. He's in his last minutes of life, and so much happens. Pause. That's why when somebody's dying, don't rush. Don't rush. The good spirits say in the book, the Spirit's book by Kardec. They repeat it in the book Heaven and Hell. Let us practice in the person as a spirit, not as the body. When somebody's body is decomposing, dying, is perishing, like ours will one day, we are not that body. We're beyond the body, but we need to practice every day. If we identify too much with the clothes we wear, we lose sight of who we truly are. With the makeup I use, with the mask I use, if it matches my clothes, it doesn't match my clothes, right? Now it's another piece, right? It's an accessory now. We want to let go, but not so much. But if we identify too much, we're going to lose sight of our true nature. We need to see ourselves how we truly are, to be able to see others as well. And when people are discarnating, they're not the body. You can feel the spirit living, like a butterfly getting out of the cocoon. Beautiful, freer, able to go far, because now we are just a caterpillar, the incarnate form. We're here stuck in the sense, bound to the soil of the earth, we cannot go places. But Silas, Andre Luiz, Hilario, they fly, they volitate, because they're discarnated. And when people discarnate, they're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Why? Why that shock about death? When we look at the good spirits showing to us that that is the true life, they went back to the true life. This is not the true life. This is like going to school. We need to go back home. And hopefully with a good report. Outstanding. Excellent. Hopefully. Or else. We have to repeat. But then it's going to be a little harder. But Leo, no. This reincarnation was different. Yes, he had a very difficult life. So it's so interesting that they were all touched, because there is a beautiful passage here that they say the dying Leo was a traveler ready for the big journey, just waiting for the sign to leave. He was calm and brave. Was he a spiritist? No, he was Catholic. I know many spiritists who are terrified. I don't want to die now either. But if God takes us, oh well. But we need to be prepared all the time. When it comes, how do I see it? How do I deal with it? And Silas says, caressing. Silas was caressing the head of our dear Leo, and saying that this was the case of expiring death. What does that mean? Expiring death. It's like you have debt and it's going to expire. That's the best debt you can have. A truly expiring debt, right? Hopefully it's going to expire as soon as possible. But does it depend on agencies? No. It depends on us. He was calm. He was brave. And the beauty is this. Silas looks at Hilario and Andre Luiz and says, talk to Leo. Yeah, like, can we talk to him? Is he going to understand with his ears? No, but it's going to be mind to mind. How often we're talking to the good spirits and we don't know? How do they talk to us? They ask questions to make us think. Leo, my friend, question to Leo. Do you realize that you're on the threshold of the real life? The good spirits are not sugarcoating it. They're not pushing it. They are just helping him say, yeah, like you're dying. Do you know? No, 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 no. Do you know that you're crossing over? That you'll be leaving your body in just a few hours? That's why you talk, the people who do studies, they know the time is coming. Oh, yes, death, he says mentally. He thinks he's talking to himself. I know that tonight I shall probably meet my just end. Aren't you scared? Nothing to be afraid of. How come? What did he live in his life that doesn't make him feel afraid at all? There's nothing to be afraid in the company of Christ, my Savior. He too was despised and forgotten. He tasted his own blood. He keeps talking about it. Are you Catholic? And he replies, yes. And now he talks about his life. When he was young, his parents died. He had some mental issues, mental impairment. And his brother, again, family. His brother decided to put him in a psychiatric hospital and administer the assets. But his brother was very vain. He had a wife who was very spoiled, and they used to do a lot of parties and very lavish life. But then his money was going down, his part of inheritance. So he thought, well, he put Leo in a guest house, in the back of the house, let's say this way. Servants taking care of him, but not allowing him in so people wouldn't see him. And then he said, I need the other part of the inheritance. So the brothers thought, well, if he's out in the cold every night, he's probably going to get sick and die. So he ordered the slaves, the servants, to bring him outdoors and allow him to sleep outside. After 2 years, nothing happened. He had some lung issues, but it didn't get any worse. So he said, money is running down, running low. I really need to take measures. So he talked to two of the slaves and said, I'll let you run away. They were the ones taking care of Leo. And I'll let you run away. And when you run away, go very far. At the end of the day, we know he killed the brother, right? He killed the brother. So, bottom line. Sorry, this is the previous life, right? Sorry, this is the previous life of Leo. That's what he did to a brother, and now that's what his brother did to him. The other brother, not the same. Sorry, too many. That's why I'm not giving names, because it's like Leo, Fernando, and this and Ernesto. Too many names. But it's the same story that repeats. But Silas says, you see what he said that happened to him in this life? In that life? In this life is a repetition of the other with some new elements. Mercy. What elements? Now he's dying in the hospital of tuberculosis. But he's being cared for. And there's no scandal, he says. There's no scandal. And there is not a person assassinating him. Actually, the bacteria, he says, are the ones that are eating up. But not somebody else. So every time we expiate, as we say in Spiritism, we don't experience things exactly as we've made others experience. No. there's always what we call, they attenuate, they diminish the impact because there's mercy. So he killed a brother in previous life to keep the inheritance. In this life, his brother actually, I'll tell the story of this life, actually didn't put him in a psychiatric ward. He left. The brother didn't let him in again, and somebody else did. He found a job as a guard who was working during the night, taking care of a neighborhood, and that's why he got the tuberculosis. He had some mental issues. His life was just like that. In the previous life, lavish, enjoying this life. It's like no friends, no family, no parties. Or the party. We need to tell our children, enjoy today, and then tomorrow, you're not going to enjoy tomorrow unless you're doing good to others. And that's what we're going to learn precisely in this thing. His humility. He forgives his brother in this present life. He says, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's truly Christ conscious. He doesn't do what we do. We look at what people do and say, yeah, I know. He did wrong for himself, but he'll pay. See, we didn't forgive. Because we wish on people that they pay. That means we didn't forgive. Because when we forgive, we don't want anybody to pay anything. We forgive. We raise the debt in our hearts. Daily, we see mental illnesses and the root of it all, the difficulty of forgiving. Several cases that we know. And the good spirits say, at the end of the day, it's about forgiveness. If this person doesn't forgive, forget it. So we need to learn to be good at forgiving. And he was so humble that he always talked about the model. You see, this is what it is to have Jesus as a model. He says, Jesus forgave offenses and desertions. So he's saying, why am I not too? Nailed to the cross, he didn't complain about the friends who had turned him over to humiliation and suffering. He didn't utter a word condemning his cruel executioners. Instead of blaming them, he asked the Heavenly Father to lovingly watch over them all. And Jesus was God's ambassador to humanity. So how can I judge my brother if I, a soul in need of light, cannot grasp the divine judgments of providence? And for us, this dialogue opens up parentheses for us who are spiritists, thinking that people will be saved when they become spiritists. That's not true. Thank God. Because if it were, friends, the world would be in bad shape, worse than we can imagine. I know it's not in the best shape, but it could be even worse. No, God is great. God brings the message everywhere with different names. And this is a true Christ-conscious person. He looks at the model and says, I'm going to follow Jesus. I'm going to follow Jesus. I'm going to follow Jesus. His humility touched Andre Luiz' heart. I straighten up my tears, the tears in my eyes, Andre Luiz says. Now comes Silas and explains that Leo was somebody who had been at their institute before reincarnating. Although materialized in the flesh, there are hundreds of souls that remain connected to it through the roots of their debts. They are usually transgressors in difficult stages of regeneration. We are here and our files are somewhere else. And we have a group of people following us every step of the way, helping us. And we don't notice, but we can maximize it. But how do I know? Why wouldn't we? Especially us who are spiritists and have such awareness. We know we were prepared to be in this life, to regenerate ourselves, to learn something new. Don't know how to forgive? This life is all about that. Don't know how to be patient? Well, this life's going to be about that. Don't know how to be tolerant? Well, this is the best time to be tolerant in a very intolerant society. Very fast-paced. Be patient. But my boss want me to do it now. Okay, breathe. Your boss is God. This boss is not your boss. Breathe. What do I do? Talk to the boss. So the boss can talk to your boss. Because God changes things if we just believe. We need to do our share. Our children, they're experiencing issues. Our partners, our family members, talk to God first. Trust, patience. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, in the chapter Blessed are the Afflicted, chapter 5, there's a subtitle, Calm and Resignation, saying that we can avoid mental illnesses and suicide by practicing calm and resignation. But our society is not about that. We need to be patient, less anxious. Breathe. See, during this pandemic, it's all about learning to breathe. So, he says, they are undergoing readjustment like we are. We are. They may reincarnate under the auspices of our institute, but to a certain extent, they are still bound to the associations from the past. They come in contact with their influence, consolidating the necessary moral qualities through the inner conflicts that we call the forge of temptation. So, friends, yes, in this life we'll be tempted, like we are. Material resources that we have. Physical beauty, intelligence, prominent intelligence. Living in a country like the United States, for example, that allows so much. Yesterday, I was able to read a letter that Chico Xavier, it was posted on Facebook, right? Are you ready? We're gonna bring it to the Spiritist magazine in January. A letter that Chico wrote when he was right here in Silver Spring. He came to Silver Spring, Washington in 65, 66. A letter he wrote to a man in Brazil named Jose Gonçalves. And he talks about the United States in 65, how impressed he was with the country. He talks so many beautiful things about the United States. For us who are here, it's an opportunity to really realign with the plans of the on high, why we were placed here. Do you think God said, you deserve this? No, he said, you need this. We don't deserve to be here in the comfort. We need to think of those who have less. Less everything. Less everything. Not only materially, emotionally, spiritually, and take action. Here he says, We will be tempted. Yes, in this life, it's going to be about that too. We'll be tempted about 10,000 things. But we need to make the choices we need to make to regenerate, new choices. That's why we need to read these books, because without new guidance, we don't know a new choice. That's why these books. So, how wonderful, Hilarious says, to recognize the paternal love of God, who watches over everything in its proper place. Yes. But now there are two things we need to bring to all of us to see how we can achieve the milestones of the soul in this reincarnation to regenerate ourselves without stumbling. He says, while there, we receive attention in the spiritual realm, love, assistance, kindness, as we re-educate ourselves, sometimes for many years. Even so, one must realize that by accepting the generosity of the instructors and benefactors who offer us that refuge of love, we're only accumulating even more debt for having received such undeserved care. It's like credit card. The good spirits help us. Now we owe more. Yeah, not to them, to life, to God. Not that God's going to say, hey, pay me. Our conscience is going to say, oh my gosh, I have received much. Look at those children who received so much. And then one day they realized they received much and they didn't do much with it. It's us. And for us spiritists, that's the warning. Professor Leibniz Barçanufo opened a hospital in the spiritual realm named Hope Hospital for spiritists who are discarnating very badly. Why? Because we know we don't apply. We give our excuses, but I'm not really a spiritist. Or, yeah, I am, but I don't give talks. I don't do this. Well, there's no difference. As much as we know, if we don't practice, our discarnation is going to be harder. The afterlife is going to be even harder. There's a whole book by Divaldo Franco. The spirit Manuel Filomeno de Miranda brought these cases, torments of obsession. Some of the cases were translated and posted and published in the Spiritist magazine all through these years. And talk about spiritists, not prominent spiritists, anyone discarnating, their choices, what happens. So, the beauty of it all is that they ask, well, why is his death expiring? And then Silas, at the end of the chapter, just so you know, you can go home, read, especially the last part, because that's the key for us today. He asks back, can't you see why? And then explaining the case. Like Leo's brother in a previous life, who discarnated with his chest pierced by the assassin's knife. Leo, too, is leaving his body with his lungs in shreds. However, due to the correct conduct Leo adopted before the divine law, Leo is going through the same ordeal, but on a bed and with no destructive agent except his illness, even though blood is weeping from his mouth, just as had happened with his despised and defeated brother. Justice has been served, with the difference that instead of dagger, there are battalions of murderers, bacilli. And Silas goes on to the most critical part for us. Whenever our pain does not cause new pain, And whenever our affliction does not cause affliction in those around us, our debt is in the process of expiring. So this is the rule. If we're suffering and we're not creating more suffering towards others, our debt is expiring. But if our suffering creates more suffering, then it's not expiring. How many people have financial difficulties and they go steal, kill, lie? They were about to pay off, they created a new debt. How many people are in a marriage that is shaky, and instead of surrendering, working, and being patient and being tolerant, they take the easy routes out or affairs, etc. Like we've all done in the past. In previous lives, we did this, all these things. That's history. But in this life, we can no longer do this. But Vanessa, I have a family at home that needs my help. And if I don't get that promotion, I need to find a way to bring my person to that. So that other person is a competitor. I need to find a way to, no, don't do that. The slander you create against somebody is going to be that for you. Our jealousy, our envy will be creating more debt. That's why we need to tell our children when they go to school. They come back and say, oh, my friend got A+. Oh, my friend is in a group that is more advanced. How do you feel? I don't like that. Why? Because I wish I could be there. Okay. Does that change your life? Why don't you rejoice for your friend? That doesn't mean you're less. That means that your friend is in a different experience. Doesn't mean better than you, just different. But if we don't practice that when they're little, they're going to grow old. They're going to do what people do. When they see others blossoming, envy, jealousy, competition. We need to teach our children, it's okay. It's okay that they are good at that. Great. They are children of God just like you. They are your brother and sister in God. Great. Great that they are good at soccer, that they are good at swimming, that they are good at biking, they are good at riding. They're wonderful. You can say, I have a friend who is great at that. See, it's part of your life. It's not taking anything away from you. But if we don't teach them that, if we don't know that ourselves, we're creating more debt in the temptation of our jealousy, creating slanders, gossip, competitions that start very early on. Very often the bed of pain is the blessed altar where we can extinguish ominous commitments and settle our accounts without harming anyone else. When patients yield to heavenly designs in conformity and humility, they bear the sign. I will repeat, okay? When patients yield to the heavenly design, surrender to God in resignation, humility, they bear the sign of an expiring debt. So today we need to check, am I experiencing an expiring debt? Depends. Am I surrendering to God and saying, I understand it, and it's okay. I trust in you, God, and I know everything shall pass. I don't need to despair. I don't need to create more pain for other people. Sometimes we suffer and we call 10,000 people, telling people what's happening. You're just spreading more suffering because people are people like us. They hear bad news, they suffer too. The mirror neurons. So if we keep telling them the stories of our pain, we're spreading our suffering. But can't I talk to friends? No, select a friend or a therapist. But if there is nobody, God and only God. But 10,000 people, it's nonsense. It's like little kids. Talk to little kids. Elementary school, that's what they do. They don't have filter. They have zero filter. If we're adults and we have no filter, our debt's not expiring because we're not learning, we're just spreading it. Like the other day, I was talking to somebody, and this person said, somebody called me and told me their story. I felt so sorry. And as this person was watching me, and the Brazilians here will know what I'm talking about now, they were watching, the person was talking to me about that, said about the case of somebody else, and said, oh my gosh, I'm talking to you, I'm seeing on TV. What are you seeing on TV? Yvette Sangalo is also separating from her husband. I'm so sorry. It's a singer celebrity in Brazil. She was married to a very young man, and it's the love of her life. And this person on the phone was like, oh my gosh, what's happening to the world? And then so somebody told her something, a story about separation. Then she saw on TV, and she's like, oh my gosh. And this person and that person. So the suffering is just spreading. Right?
This is the verse. Pray for others while in pain, so you keep that pain to yourself. That way, no interest will be accumulated on your form of debt.
Thank you, John. That's a good strategy. So you see, friends, you and I need to find a new way to regenerate ourselves. What do we do when we are in pain? Now, as a neuroscientist of pain, I can share. Pain is perception. Pain is perception. When we study our biology, pain is not equal. It's very subjective. So when we are suffering, ask yourself, am I really suffering? Doubt yourself. Not that you're not going to validate your feelings, but let us ask ourselves, is this real suffering? Oh, because I was investing and I may have lost some money. Is it really suffering? How do I know how to go back and reframe, give a new meaning to my suffering? That's what Jesus taught us. There are people who are suffering much more than we are. But Vanessa, this is happening to me. There are cases of people in which that is happening, and this, and that, 10,000 things. And they don't have food on their bed, or bed, or house, or a friend. Nothing. So let us reframe our suffering and avoid spreading, thinking. Not that we're going to contain it, but talk to a therapist. Sometimes we have fraternal counseling in the center. And though we forget to mention it all the time, it's available. People can write an email, send a message, go to the website or call us. You have the WhatsApp community. Send a message. We can make arrangements and do it free. We do the fraternal counseling, supporting each other and making sure that we're progressing without the need of spreading the pain. There are people who spend their money and then they call, oh, I need more money, so common. They create their suffering, now spreading their suffering towards others. We are asked today to empower ourselves, reframing our pain, avoid spreading the pain, and always, always practicing resignation, the surrender before God, humility. Who are we? We're children of God. And pray, as John de Rosa pointed out, always pray. We see that this man, Leo, is an inspiration for us. He's praying as he's dying. What a beautiful death. A death that will make him go back home. And at the very end, Andre Luiz and Lara say, can we help him now? Discarnate? No, we're not the specialists. Humility. There's a group of specialists who come to help us discarnate. Just like when we're born, we need a doctor, somebody, right? When we discarnate, we do too. Oh, but that person's dying in the hospital. Without everybody in the family, good for them. It's going to be easier. Because if we, the family, are there, we're going to be like tug of war. The spirit's pulling us. We're this way. And it's just complicating. They are suffering more. Good. They died alone. No, they didn't. Nobody is born alone. Nobody dies alone. Because death is just the other side of life. We want to live here? Yes. Quality. Reframing our pain. That's it for today. The workout was extensive. Now we need to prepare ourselves for the passes. Visualizing these good spirits, friends, who love us here dearly. Each one of us. They know what we want, what we need. Our roller coaster of emotions. And they just love all of us. Let us then practice this togetherness with them. Okay? We'll do the passes now. All right? We will turn off the lights. We'll practice again the spiritual passes in a step-by-step visualization for us to practice it at home as well. This togetherness with the good spirits. Let us close our eyes. And visualize. Smiling, caring faces in front of us. The spirit doctors. The nurses and the therapists. They are in front of us. They place their hands on our hands, and we feel the healing touch. A different warmth enveloping us, showering us with new remedies. And we facilitate by breathing in and out, consciously absorbing everything that we need, balancing our chakras, our vital centers. And we feel that they are giving to us an IV injection so our spiritual body can be strengthened in renewed loving molecules. They offer us a flower of peace, asking us to breathe its perfume. Place this flower near our heart. Balancing our emotions, strengthening our thinking, clarifying our minds. They offer us a glass of water with molecules of joy, hope, and courage. We visualize ourselves sipping this water, the living water of the Christ. Visualizing our homes being enveloped in this light of protection and strength. Enveloping our loved ones, our whole spiritual network. Dear God, we express our gratitude that we are here receiving your treatment through your messengers. Thank you for this lesson that Chico Xavier brought to us, Andre Luiz, teaching us to be fully aware of ourselves, gaining self-regulation, promoting growth for immortality. But we want to pray especially to those on earth who don't know of it and are making choices based on baseless foundation, without you in their minds, in their hearts. We pray for brothers and sisters who have not found their way, hoping that they soon find their closeness to you and cherish your company like we do. Meanwhile, we want to rejoice in reflecting on the blessings of life. And as we prepare for a special week in the United States of gratitude, of thanksgiving, may this week we count the blessings and practice our humility and surrender to you, trusting your designs always. Feeling your guidance in our daily lives. We thank you for another therapeutic moment. May the bottled water we shall receive be of healing remedies, sustaining us as you wish. And so be it. We want to thank everyone for being here, for those who are in the internet as well. Big hug. We'll see you next time. And for those who are here,